Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia offers the widest selection of sports cards and signed memorabilia in the city. For dedicated casual and new collectors, Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia has everything a collector could ask for. Everything we sell is stored with care, and with help from our knowledgeable team, we'll help you find exactly what you're looking for. We carry upper deck hockey card brands like Series 1 and 2, the Cup, Ultimate, SPA, and plenty more. So what are you waiting for? Come down to Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia, Winnipeg's premier sports cards and memorabilia store. And welcome in, Manitoba Major Junior Hockey League fans, and to the return of your favorite podcast, the Manitoba Major Junior Hockey League podcast, here on your home for MMJHL Hockey and U22 Hockey in the province of Manitoba, GShow Productions and GShow.ca. I'm your host, Graham, the GShow Forsyth. This edition of the MMJHL podcast is brought to you by Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia. Announcement on our website as well as our social media pages coming out this week, throughout this week, as we'll be announcing this year's sponsors on the GShow Productions Network. Super excited to share with you all a big announcement that, well, change things heading forward, moving into the 2025-2026 season that I think should have you all really excited. I'm really excited about it. The league is very happy about what we have cooking up for this upcoming season, and couldn't be happier to be broadcasting as many games as we will be. With a league like the MMJHL league that we're going into year 3 with. A fantastic season last year, which saw a new champion crowned first time since 2014-15. The St. Boniface Riels came away with the championship, and yeah, do they go out and defend the title this season? Could a team like the Railer Express get their revenge? Charles Wood, they still got a really nice roster, a lot of skill there, and there's some other teams that I'm going to be keeping my eye on this season, which is going to be, I think, bringing the makings of what should be another exciting and entertaining season of MMJHL hockey. But unfortunately, MMJHL fans, we're going to switch into, and I mean transition into, talking about something that, quite frankly, it's devastating. Unfortunately, Victoria's defenseman Carter Wilson passed away the evening of August 28th after losing a battle to brain cancer. Carter was only 19 years old. Unfortunately, 9 days before his 19th birthday, they had received devastating news, his family and everyone who loved Carter, that he had a lesion on his brainstem. Yeah, it's just I don't even really know how to put it into words. When I had seen it, the post initially, which was put out by Icewave Media, um, just putting things into perspective that this is just a kid, you know, just turned 19 years old. And, in my family, I have a cousin who was born in 2007 who's only a year younger than Carter. So putting that into perspective and just the awful damage that cancer has done through history and continues to do, it's a tragic situation. It's just quite frankly sad. My thoughts are with the Wilson family, Carter's father, Dave, his siblings, his mother, and the Wilson family, the St. Vital Victoria's family. Yeah, it's just an awful disease that I just wish there was a cure for it at this point, and a way to find a way out of these situations. And Carter, no doubt, the competitor that he was on the ice and how he handled himself, I'm sure that character came through, that fighting spirit, until the very end. And Carter was also involved in coaching a U13 hockey team in St. Vital. They had posted a post in memory of Carter and just the impact that he made at the community level and with his teammates. Hearing the words that were spoken by the St. Vital Victorias on their post about the passing of Carter Wilson, it just, you get a sense from that post and just seeing how his teammates reacted that Carter was extremely loved, and he's going to be extremely missed. I'm only 4 years, or I guess 5 years older now than Carter was when he had passed away. Even older than he was when he had received the news just 9 days before his birthday. And it puts things into perspective of how lucky I am and how lucky many of us are, because this is, was said, a natural born athlete, someone that loves sports, not just hockey, but sports like golf, who, I don't know Carter personally, but sure took care of himself very well. He just finished, another season in his lifetime of playing competitive hockey months before this, and it's just a bleak and grim reminder that it can truly happen to anybody. And Carter, wherever he may be now, I just hope that he's doing what he loves, and yeah, resting easy. I know I'm repeating myself, but I can't even imagine what the family is going through, and the ones that love Carter and knew him closest and the most. My thoughts and prayers go out to all of those who loved and knew Carter. And what's fantastic about the hockey community and how people come together is, well, a fundraiser is happening right now in honor of Carter Wilson, his nickname being Rush, so it's titled Carter Rush Wilson. And a fantastic initiative that is over $30,000. The goal is $40,000, 242 donations so far. And yeah, just fantastic to see the community coming together, seeing huge donations, but donations of any sort truly do help. We'll be donating sometime soon during this week. I urge you to as well, if you're able to. If not, please share this link out so we can spread the word to help the Wilson family out during this time. The GoFundMe link is right there, and we also have it posted in the description of this episode. We're going to take a little break, and then when we come back, we'll continue with this edition of the MMJHL podcast. And welcome back to the Manitoba Major Junior Hockey League podcast. We opened this episode up talking about the passing of Carter Rush Wilson, unfortunately passing due to losing his battle with brain cancer. Once again, GoFundMe for the Wilson family, which funds have been raised to over $30,000 in this GoFundMe initiative. The link is in the description of this episode if you would like to donate. All that money that is donated goes to a wonderful cause to help out the Wilson family. And yeah, just it had to be talked about. Carter Wilson, a player who will be in the hearts and the minds of not only Victoria's fans this season, but the players on this squad as they start off their training camp tonight. Vic's Twins to open up the season as the MMJHL schedule has been released. And for GShow Productions, we mentioned it at the start of this episode, we have some exciting news to share with you all. If you were following along with our playoff coverage last spring, or I guess this most recent spring, to conclude the 2024-2025 season, we broadcasted 19 playoff games that were all pay-per-view. So to watch those games, you had to pay for them, a feed that we cut in a revenue split, with money going to not only us but back to the MMJHL as well. It was a little experiment that we ran, and it had me thinking, what if we do it for a whole season? Well, that's exactly what we have in store for this year, as I am proud to announce that GShow Productions and Uscreen, we're going to make it your new home for game day on gshowproductions.uscreen.io. All games this season on our Uscreen service will include MMJHL coverage, but not only that, Winnipeg High School Hockey League coverage, as well as Manitoba Female U18 AAA Hockey League coverage too. Really excited to add the Winnipeg High School Hockey League into our broadcasting mix, given that there is a strong correlation, a strong history between players from that league heading into this one in the MMJHL. But as for how things are going to work out, we have league plans and all access plans. The basic league plan for the MMJHL, since we're going to be doing so many games, at least 20 per month, that's going to be starting at $39.99 per month. And just doing the math, that doesn't really even come out to $2 per game that you're going to get. So we're trying to make the value as best as possible. We think we've done that. And the beauty of this service too is if you want to just watch MMJHL content, you can subscribe if you do want to subscribe. That is, we're also going to have pay-per-view options too, so if you just want to watch one game or a few games, you just pay for that game. And by the way, once you do pay for a game or subscribe, we've worked things out where you won't have to pay for it again. It will be available once you do purchase it for forever. We've made sure of that this year and worked out the kinks. But yeah, we have many options for pricing plans, in terms of like the monthly subscriptions, pay-per-view access, and like for single games, that is, of course, it's all pay-per-view access this season for MMJHL Game Day. But we're also going to have all access packages, which are going to involve MMJHL content, Winnipeg High School Hockey League content, and Manitoba Female Hockey League content in terms of game day coverage, all in that. So spend a bit more with the all access packages, but you'll get more bang for your buck, as you'll not only have MMJHL coverage to consume in game day content, but as well as the other two leagues as mentioned. In total, in the MMJHL, it's definitely going to be the league where we'll be doing the most of our regular season and playoff games, but we're also going to be doing showcases and events, stuff like that, throughout this upcoming season to make it all worth it on our Uscreen service. And in terms of the MMJHL, we can finally welcome them to our club here of exclusivity. We have another announcement that we're going to make on next week's edition of the MMJHL podcast in episode 2. We're just sorting out the details as we make our schedule, but we're going to be having another broadcasting team joining us, which is very exciting. You may recognize him and his voice once he does start producing games for us coming up in the month of October. But yeah, we felt it was the time to go into doing this, releasing a pay-per-view service full-time for the upcoming season, because it's just a few things. One, I think it just creates a great revenue service for the MMJHL, something that they haven't had before, and something where if you can't make it to the rinks, you'll still be benefiting the MMJHL by, paying to access whatever it may be, single game access, monthly subscriptions, or all access. And not only is that great, but the money that goes to the MMJHL, they're going to be able to do whatever they see fit with it. They'll have full control of that money, and they'll be able to do what they need to do to help improve their league how they see fit. Maybe they put this money towards scholarships of some sorts, depending on how much money we make from these broadcasts this year, right? But another thing is too, when you take a look at the market, it's just for us at this point where we want to go to as a company. Other brands do it that are similar to us, charging for games. So we thought it is time, after 2 years, heading into year 3 with big plans. We got many showcases that we're going to be bringing to you this year. We're hoping to hopefully broadcast different events here in the MMJHL, most notably this year's All-Star Game, depending on where that may be. And yeah, just a bunch of great stuff coming up on your new home for game day. We'll mention it once again. GShowProductions.uscreen.io, and be sure to access this monthly pass today. League plans starting at $39.99 for MMJHL specifically, on your home for U22 hockey coverage here in the province of Manitoba. And by the way, as for this podcast, the MMJHL podcast, don't worry, it will not be going anywhere. It's staying here on YouTube. One last thing I will mention is you will still be able to consume our game day content in a way here on our YouTube channel. We're also going to be posting content similar to what we'll be posting on YouTube on our social media feeds when the time does come. But what you'll be seeing in terms of game day from that perspective on YouTube is on this podcast and in separate videos. We're going to be showcasing highlights, putting highlight packages together from games this season. Kind of sort of what the NHL does with their game recaps, but maybe not as deluxe as them, but you'll get the gist of it. The goals will be in there. We'll include big saves and the biggest moments from all of those games on our YouTube this year, which we're hoping that the content that we show, those clips, get you all excited. For those that maybe on the fence, may not want to pay for content, but then look at that and say, yeah, it will be worth it. And yeah, I just couldn't be more proud of what's to come this season. We're going to have apps coming too, so you'll be able to access this without going on the web, on Apple as well as on Android. So a lot more details to come, but this is the gist of our big announcement, our big expansion coming up this year. We'll be in charge of covering, because we also cover Pilot Mountain Hockey Academy in terms of podcasting for them, we'll be in charge of covering about 60 or so teams this season, which is honestly incredible. I cannot wait for it, and cannot wait for the start of this MMJHL season, as it will be coming up on October 2nd in St. Vital at the Centennial, as the Victorias will be taking on the Fort Garry Twins. GShow Productions will have that game on our Uscreen platform, and we may even look into doing some exhibition games as well leading up to this year's regular season campaign. We're going to take a little commercial break here. You'll hear from Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia, and coming up next, we'll take you through some of the latest news that's happened during this off-season and what's to come for this MMJHL 2025-2026 campaign here in what should be, well, an intriguing season of MMJHL hockey. More to come after this commercial.
Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia offers the widest selection of sports cards and signed memorabilia in the city. For dedicated casual and new collectors, Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia has everything a collector could ask for. Everything we sell is stored with care, and with help from our knowledgeable team, we'll help you find exactly what you're looking for. We carry Upper Deck hockey card brands like Series 1 and 2, the Cup, Ultimate, SPA, and plenty more. So what are you waiting for? Come down to Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia, Winnipeg's premier sports cards and memorabilia store.
Welcome back, MMJHL fans, into this edition of the MMJHL podcast. Still trying to adjust the background here in terms of, well, not the background, the camera, as I should say, as I don't really like the wall right there, blank wall. Want a bit more noise in the background, I think, so looking to center the camera out a bit more as things go along here in this 2025-2026 season of podcast, and excited to be back, and excited to honestly be back in this room, back to where I started podcasting, in the basement of my house, that is. Moved up to my bedroom last year. It was an okay setup, but it feels more homey down here, which is kind of crazy to say because it's all in the same house, but it's just what I'm used to. And what I've been used to is the MMJHL starting off last week of September, but that's not the case this year. The MMJHL looking into playing a later exhibition schedule this year, as there's still going to be exhibition games going on until into the final Fridays and the final weekend of September. But as for last season in the MMJHL, as mentioned in the opening of the Season 3 premiere, the St. Boniface Riels became MMJHL champions. First time they've done it since 2014-15, and what a dominant run this squad went on. They were 11-0 at one point, heading into that, what was a deciding Game 3, potentially if they were able to win it, or Game 4 that is, as they were up 3-0 against the Railers Express. But the Railers were able to hold on, extend it to a Game 5, and St. Boniface would take care of business. One of the most dominant runs we've seen in quite some time, up there with some of the great champions in MMJHL history. And for St. Boniface, they're loaded again this year with returning talent, looking to run it back and to do something that St. James did a few seasons ago, which is to go back to back. But St. James, for them, they set a standard that is going to be pretty hard to match. 3 straight championships for them. For St. Boniface, I feel like they're just worrying about themselves and what they got brewing in their culture, which is really strong. One of the strongest cultures in the league, and one of the big reasons, one of the little details, the key little details that went into that team's championship success last season, and led by some really great players. Even though, players like their captain Connor Davis have aged out a few players on that forward group, as well as a few on the back end. They got goaltenders coming back, and Owen LaRocque, and as well as players like Alex Van Dyne's returning, who also came from the Pembina Valley Twisters in a trade last year. Him and LaRocque, a move made by Tyler Morse. So yeah, for St. Boniface, they really built a fantastic team last season, and yeah, with a lot of returning talent coming back this year, they'll be looking to run it back for sure. In terms of a trade alert that has happened already here in the 2025-2026 season, it was the Raiders Junior Hockey Club and the Stonewall Jets. A bit of deja vu, as Braden Larveld is heading back to the Stonewall Jets, the 2007-born defenseman, coming off of an 11-point season in 20 games. As per Elite Prospects with the Raiders Junior Hockey Club, joins a Stonewall Jets team that is looking to make an even bigger jump in this group's progression in this era of Jets hockey. As they were able to make it back to the playoffs for the first time since pre-COVID. First time this group has ever tasted playoff hockey, and this season one of the most experienced groups coming back, adding some more experience to the group with a player in Braden Larveld. And as for the Raiders Junior Hockey Club, the model for them throughout the past few years has been, well, we've gone young. We're going to continue to go younger. They got a 2008-born player in Tyler Cordoves, who, for Tyler, he's a former West Kildonan collegiate player who put up 27 points in 23 games last year. So strong production from him, a player that plays with a bit of an edge, 76 penalty minutes, and also has some AAA background as well. So he's played at some high levels here in the province, and we'll be looking to add to this Raiders Junior Hockey Club forward group, who could have some potential this year. Them, along with teams like Stonewall, the Railer Express. Come to think of it, I'd say the Raiders probably the youngest team in the league going into this season, but we'll get into that coming up later on as we continue on in this season 3 of the MMJHL podcast. Raiders are among one of the youngest teams for sure. They're up there with teams like the Railers, the Jets, others, right? Pembina Valley as well, who went young last year after selling at the deadline. And River East always has a lot of young blood too. So yeah, I think it's a good trade for both sides. Looking at where they're at, I think that Stonewall, they get a player who's gonna immediately impact their lineup and has had a chance to grow outside of their program and is coming back after having a great season. And the Raiders looking at the future a bit more once again. Going with a 2008-born player who's going to be looking to make an impact for years to come for the squad. And Tyler Cordoves, they have his rights, at least, and excited to see what he's going to be able to do in a Raiders jersey when he does suit up. As for the River East Royal Knights, well, this is big news, as they've made a change at coach. Manny Manouk Sr. is going to be taking over, the father of Manny Manouk Jr., as his son's going to be joining him on the coaching staff. Going to be really cool to see Barry Bonney still a part of this franchise. He's been here forever. I can't imagine this Royal Knights team without the Bonnies involved in some way. Of course, for Barry Bonnie and this group, it was Blake Bonnie that was head coach for the past 3 seasons. Blake actually ended up winning Coach of the Year a few years ago. Since that season when River East ended up finishing second place in the league, it's been a downward spiral for them in the standings as they've missed the playoffs in the last few years. So this coaching change, from what I've read, comes in terms of just wanting something that's best for this team, and what Barry Bonnie felt, even though it was his son who was in charge of being head coach. He felt that a new voice and maybe just some new ideas will help benefit this River East Royal Knights team moving forward. Hey, River East, I know in the past decade or so, they've had some bright spots, but overall it's been mostly struggles. But they got one of the most, if not the most, decorated owner in MMJHL history, and Barry Bonnie's still there, who, you know, went outside of the family to go for a new head coach, and keeping a player around in Manny Manuka Jr. there too, who knows this group very well and loves this team, evidently to stay with them. I think that's going to be huge to have a player's voice there too. And then you look at it, Anthony Jacob, a former captain and player of this team who just graduated out of the league last year, is going to be coming back to help on the coaching staff too. So I love this mix, this blend that River East has cooking up. I think that this could be a big positive for a team that River East, that area has a lot of talent. It's about how do you look to put that together on the ice now, and maybe a change on the bench could very well lead to that. Shout out to Blake, respect to him, and respect to his time as a River East Royal Knights coach. And going to be interesting to see what's next for Blake Bonnie in the MMJHL. As for training camp, it's officially open for, I think, most teams in the exhibition will be starting soon, as there's some games on the schedule. St. Boniface, they've started their training camp tonight. Their first skate is actually, I believe, might be happening right now. I know the Vicks, they're also going to be starting their training camp this week. The Railer Express and many other teams. As for St. Boniface, just taking a look at when that skate started. Yeah, they're well into it. 7:30 was when registration was, actually, so not quite into it, actually. Tryouts starting up at 8:45 p.m., so 12 minutes away. But for this Real squad, already talked about them. A fast, skilled team last year. A team that got aggressive at the deadline. This training camp for them, it's about rounding out that roster. Not many changes to make. And for the Reals, I think the big goal for them is, look, you did it last year. Can you do it again this year? It's going to be fun to see who's going to challenge the St. Boniface Reals team to this season. We'll be kind of previewing every team as things go along here, and we're going to give an actual official deep dive into the St. Boniface Reals. I've just kind of been going off the top of my head talking about them here tonight. But yeah, it's really interesting to see some of the changes, I guess, that have been made. One in particular with the River East Royal Knights, with their coaching staff. The trend, we saw it last year, of former players in this league stepping onto the benches. Well, 2 players that graduated just this past spring out of the program. I guess not graduated, but aged out, as I should say. They're right back into the saddle, but just in a different capacity this time on the bench this season compared to being in a player's role. And speaking of a player that's going to be in a bit of a new role, shout out to Carson King of the Stonewall Jets as he was named their captain heading into this season. King and the Jets finished 7th place last year. They'll be looking to jump up in the standings and could very well have a great chance of doing so. So much returning talent on that team, and can't wait to get into my breakdown of them. As I guess I'll give you a bit of a spoiler. I got really high hopes for the Jets this season in the Manitoba Major Junior Hockey League, which season 3 of this podcast is going to involve a lot of great stuff. Player and coach interviews, highlights, graphics, and much more to just showcase what's going on around this league and keeping you up to date with, in my opinion, I've said it many times before, but one of the most underrated hockey leagues out there in the MMJHL. As for when this episode will be coming out on the weekly, most likely going to be Tuesdays. We're still kind of determining that, as the start of this month has been quite hectic, but you can't expect this. Game 1 of the season, we're actually going to be able to cover both doubleheaders most likely, but we're still confirming that. But we will have opening day coverage for sure in under a month's time at St. Vital Centennial Arena, and leading up to that is just going to be previewing everything we can heading into this upcoming 2025-2026 campaign. It's really all to say for now in this episode of the MMJHL podcast, the Season 3 premiere. We'll be right back after this short little break, heading to a promo screen. Well, you've made it to the end of the MMJHL podcast. Special thanks to Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia for being a sponsor of this episode. You'll officially see their logo in some capacity on the screen moving forward in the next edition of the MM podcast and moving forward into the season, as well as we'll be announcing our other sponsors that we've partnered with throughout this next week. Stay tuned on our social media as well as our website, as we'll have the latest on that, and we'll have the latest on who our sponsors are. We'll simply announce them too, coming up in episode 2 of season 3 next Tuesday. As for when it will air, most likely in the evening, but the goal after next week is to have this podcast airing at noon consistently on Tuesdays. So yeah, it'll give us time to take a look back at the week that was in the MMJHL. It'll be a perfect day to be able to preview what's to come for the upcoming week of action, what is going to be another busy season for all 10 teams involved, 45 games on the schedule for all of them in the regular season. Before that, they got to go through some exhibition play, and then after all of that, you make it into the playoffs. For us on GShow Productions, as mentioned, it's going to be our busiest season ever. At least 20 games per month are going to be broadcasted on our Uscreen platform. Can't wait for it. Hope you're all excited too for it, as this is the start of a new era. And just the timeline that GShow Productions has existed. We're heading into year 3 now, and our hopes are as high as ever for all 10 of these teams. And as it usually is in all sports, I think it's a given. This time around, the coaching staff taking a look at all the talent they have, filling themselves with so much hope and optimism, rightfully so, because this is the first time you really get to see your players back in action. You get to see them in some preseason action. You get to see, who is cut out for your team who may not be at this time, who could be a player to watch in the future. And it's just a time of excitement and knowing that you still have time to prepare for the season ahead. And once that season starts, just like every year, once the page is flipped on the previous season of the MMJHL into the next, all 10 teams have the same chances to be able to win, and all the same hope to be able to hopefully become that next Jack McKenzie trophy holder. Will it be the St. Boniface Reals, or will it be someone else this season? Well, you'll have to stay tuned to find out on our coverage all season long in your home for the MMJHL on GShow Productions on GShow.ca. Be sure to check out our Uscreen platform at GShowProductions.uscreen.io. Until then, everybody, until we see you a week from now, I've been your host, Graham the GShow Forsyth. Peacing out and waving so long, MMJHL fans. Till next time, we'll see you then.